Let's reflect together and don't forget to subscribe.
Intelligence, algorithms that predict our desires, networks connecting billions of people, and yet a planet where inequality not only persists, it deepens. A world where, despite so much progress, human beings feel lonelier, more anxious, and more exploited than ever. Do we really live better? Or have we simply built a shinier cage? Karl Marx, the German philosopher who reshaped modern thought, wrote far more than just economic treatises. In his personal letters, in his most intimate reflections, we find a different side of Marx, the human one. The man who suffered, who fell ill, who saw his children die in poverty, who doubted, who raged, but also the man who never stopped thinking, questioning, or writing. Today, nearly 150 years after his death, his letters still speak to us, not with dogmas but with questions, not with formulas but with uncomfortable truths. So today, let's step inside his mind, to hear what we may still need to understand. The wealth of some rises from the misery of many. In a letter to Engels, Marx once wrote, "The accumulation of wealth at one pole is at the same time accumulation of misery, toil, slavery, ignorance, brutalization and degradation at the opposite pole." This sentence, written in the 19th century, feels eerily relevant. Are we not living in a world where a handful of people hoard unimaginable fortunes, while millions still lack food, healthcare, shelter, or education? Right now, as you watch this video, there are CEOs earning more in 1 hour than a worker will see in a lifetime. People own 5 empty homes, while others sleep on sidewalks in front of them. Corporations monetize our data, our movements, even our emotions, while you and I trade our time for wages that barely cover the bills. Isn't that exactly what Marx warned about? Work, from human expression to human exhaustion. Labor should not be a curse, but the expression of our creative freedom. Marx saw work as something deeply human, not just a way to earn money but a way to shape the world. To create, to contribute, to find meaning. But capitalism, he argued, turned work into punishment. And today? Millions work 8, 10, even 12 hours a day in jobs they don't enjoy, in conditions that wear them down just to stay afloat. Even those working from home feel the constant pressure, the fear of being replaced, the anxiety of not being productive enough. For many young people, the future is a chain of temporary contracts, unpaid internships, and underpaid jobs. Where is the freedom in that? Where is the dignity? In a system that sells everything, humans also become commodities. In one letter, Marx lamented, "All that is solid melts into air. All that is holy is profaned, and man is at last compelled to face with sober senses his real conditions of life and his relations with his kind." We live in an era where everything is for sale. Your attention, your data, your time, your identity, even your mental health. Social media isn't free, you're the product. A like has become a form of emotional currency. And we pay with anxiety, with dependency, with disconnection. Society no longer asks what you want to be but what you can sell. And so, millions build identities they don't believe in, just to fit in, to stay marketable, to survive. Marx never predicted Instagram, TikTok, or Amazon. But he did understand this. In a system where everything is commodified, even the human soul is at stake. The class struggle never died, it just went quiet. The history of all hitherto existing society is the history of class struggles. Many have claimed that the class struggle is over, that we're all middle class now, that progress is shared by all. But look around closely, class conflict hasn't vanished, it's just changed form. The old bourgeoisie now call themselves investors, shareholders, venture capital. Workers now wear suits, drive for apps, work in digital factories or as freelancers without rights. But the core conflict remains: who produces value, and who gets to keep it? This isn't ideology. It's reality. And Marx saw it long before others dared to. Emancipation is not individual, it's collective. In letters to his daughters, Marx wrote, "Do not seek happiness in luxury but in dignity. Not in personal success but in changing the world." In a society that teaches us to compete against each other, Marx reminded us that no freedom is real unless it's shared. Freedom isn't about having more than others. It's about no one having less than they need to live fully. Today, as mental health declines, as digital life isolates us, as individualism erodes community, it's worth remembering, we only rise by lifting each other. I have no recipes for the kitchens of the future. Marx was often criticized for not describing what a communist society would look like. In one of his most quoted letters he replied, "I have no recipes for the kitchens of the future," because his mission was not to impose a blueprint, but to liberate thought. to shake the foundations of the system, to let workers and communities shape their own destiny. That's why he's still relevant today. Because more than a dogma, Marxist thinking is a tool, a lens to examine the present, a hammer to break chains, a compass for finding direction in chaos. Conclusion: interpreting the world is not enough. The point is to change it. Studio microphone narrator with a reflective and emotional tone, slowly building momentum. The philosophers have only interpreted the world in various ways. The point, however, is to change it. Karl Marx wrote these words more than 170 years ago. And yet today they feel more urgent than ever. We live in a world overflowing with information. We know more than ever about inequality, climate change, corruption, poverty, the crisis of work. We're bombarded with news, data, headlines. But something is missing. What's missing is the next step. The spark. The action. The transformation. Because knowing is not enough. Posting is not enough. Feeling outraged is not enough. History doesn't change by itself. It changes when people dare to confront it. Fire, and this is why Marx is still dangerous. Not because he had all the answers, but because he forces us to ask the most uncomfortable questions. Why do we accept living in a world that benefits so few at the cost of so many? Why do we call it progress when it drains our time, our health, and our sense of purpose? Why do we work more, to live less? Marx didn't write to be worshipped. He wrote to shake us awake. To remind us that what we call normal or inevitable is in fact constructed. And what is built can also be broken and rebuilt. Brain, maybe now you understand why so many tried to silence him. Because Marx didn't just talk about politics. He spoke about the human soul. About real freedom. About the right to live a meaningful life. And that is deeply revolutionary. When you read his letters, you're not reading a theorist locked in an ivory tower. You're hearing the voice of a man who, from exile, illness, poverty, and grief, kept writing with the conviction that another world was not only possible, it was necessary. And it had to be built, not in theory but in the real lives of real people. People like you. Handshake, and now the torch passes to you. Yes, you watching this right now. Because this isn't about Marx. It's not even about history. It's about us. It's about the present, and the future we still have the power to shape. Ideas are not dead things. They live when we think them, share them, act on them. And if this video sparked something in you, curiosity, discomfort, anger, hope, then that's already a beginning. A small spark that can grow. In you. In others. In all of us. Megaphone, don't close the screen just yet. This might be just your first step. What Marx left us wasn't a closed ideology, but an unfinished map. And that map is yours to follow. Yours to redraw. Yours to walk. Because in every generation someone has to say, this cannot go on. And then start doing something about it. Wrap gift. So, what now? If you made it this far, it's not by accident. Now is the moment to go deeper. To share what moved you. To do something with what you now carry. Leave a comment. Share this video with someone who needs to hear it. Go back to Marx. Or better yet, go forward from him. Sit with your thoughts. Look at your life. Look at the world. And ask yourself, what chains still hold me down? What have I accepted as normal that is actually a form of oppression? What can I change today that would let me live more fully and help others do the same? Bell, and if you want to keep exploring this path, subscribe. Turn on the bell. This channel will continue opening letters, ideas, books, but above all it will keep opening doors. Doors to freer thinking, to deeper understanding, to revolutionary imagination. We'll see you in the next video, comrade. Because history isn't over. It's just getting started.